Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bridging the Gap. My name is Alvin. I lean right on most issues. I'll be representing the Republican side.
Hello, I'm Luke. I lean left on most issues, and I'll be representing the Democratic side. Now, in this video, it'll be a 2024 matchup for the presidential election with Vice President Kamala Harris going up against current governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, so other than the president of the United States right now and the former President Trump, it's pretty likely that we'll have Harris or DeSantis moving into the White House in 2024. So I'm just going to fill these out. Um, in the betting odds, we see, DeSantis and Harris have the best shot other than the two presidents to claim the White House. It's pretty interesting how DeSantis is at the top over Trump even. And so, yeah, that's why we'll be going for these two. Do you have anyone you would like to put as VP for these candidates?
Oh, I mean, honestly, I haven't really thought that deep into it. I imagine DeSantis might pick some other conservative warrior that could appeal to the Trump base. Um, Meanwhile, Harris, I'm not really sure who she should pick. I mean, I don't even think she's in the best position right now to become the presidential nominee. I mean, because there's talk of Gavin
True.
Newsom and other Democrats, and obviously Biden himself. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I think we
Yeah,
just leave them as
yeah,
alone.
we'll just leave them. But, in case my prediction goes crazy, I'll just say, DeSantis might nominate like Kristi Noem or something. And Harris needs a white man. This is not a racist statement or anything, but I think she'll need that to counterbalance her ticket, and I'm not sure that's going to be if it's not going to be Biden. So,
Maybe
anyways,
she goes double
Maybe it's
Cali
Roy
with Newsom.
Cooper. Maybe it's Roy. You know
Oh
what?
yeah.
I'm just gonna put Gov Cooper, and I'll put here just
Okay.
in case it's right. And
Oh,
my prediction goes
maybe.
absolutely crazy in 2024, and it's on the dot, right? Just in
Mhm.
case I have this documented. Anyways, we'll be moving to the states where it's in between safe and likely. We had this in our last prediction, and we'll
Mhm.
start with Alaska.
Okay, yeah. So Alaska went to Trump by like 10 points on the dot essentially in 2020. Um, and it has been shifting blue over the last
Mm.
like few presidential elections. Um, I do think it will, if in this situation, I think it will vote for DeSantis by a solid margin because essentially he is Trump without any of the baggage and attempting to overturn an election. So he's basically a Trump who can appeal more to independents. So I think uh, a state like Alaska will for sure go to him by a solid margin.
Yeah, I think even with the shifts, I think DeSantis is going to overcome that just barely, and he's
Mm-hmm.
going to take it by solid margin. And we have a few other states we could get to. I mean, there's uh,
The first district of
first district of
Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Yeah, which also is in a similar position to Alaska, where Trump won it by like 12 points because under the new district lines. So yeah, I think it's almost for sure that DeSantis will win the first district of Nebraska. And same thing, I think we could even say with South Carolina. Um, I think there's no shot DeSantis would lose that by any less than I think he's definitely going to take that by over 10 points pretty
You think?
easily.
I mean, Trump won it by, 8, so I guess it could. I mean, if
Eight?
you think, yeah, you only won it. Oh,
No,
wait, he
it
won it
was
by 12.
12.
I can't do
Count,
math.
Alvin.
I cannot do math. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's fine
I
now.
think I was just looking at the Senate race earlier.
Hmm.
I don't know. Oh well. There we go. And then there's Colorado, which we could potentially throw into the safe Democrat column. Do you know what we did in the other presidential election?
I'm not really sure, but okay, Harris is obviously in a worse position than Biden in terms of popularity. People do not like Harris. I always talked about this before. Like we have theories. Well, I at least have the theory that since Harris spends so much time in the Senate, like trying to break ties and stuff like that. She can't like go out and travel and like, bring out like bring a better message about herself and her future in the Democratic Party. So I think that is like contributed to her like extreme unpopularity. I don't know. I think Colorado has been trending to the left, but I don't know. Over 10 points for this kind of matchup, I don't really see it. I think it'll be likely.
I
Likely to
personally
lose.
think this is still safe. I mean, Colorado has been running away from the Republicans recently, and with Biden winning it by 13, and just looking at the shifts in the state, every county is going to the left. Denver's moving to the left. I'm personally more willing to put it as safe, even with a really bad candidate for the Democrats. But what do you want to do here?
Um. Oh, if you think it's safe, then put it safe, man. Okay.
Well, okay, we'll put us. I just don't think Harris is gonna move it to the right by 3 points with the
Well,
shifts. But
we'll see.
anyways, let's move on. There's some other debate around a few states that could shift to safe. There's Iowa and Ohio. Um,
Oh, yeah, these are tough. These ones are tough.
these two are always tough.
Because it
When
seems
looking.
like, okay, like we look at Trump in the Midwest, right? And
Yeah,
Trump did uniquely like well in some of the states,
right.
and he flipped a bunch of them in 2016. I like, and there's been lots of questions of like, is Trump like a unique candidate who can appeal to the whites in the Midwest? Like because obviously in like 2018 Democrats did well there. So I mean, like, is this like a uniquely Trumpian thing, or is this like a broader shift to the right? And I'm not really sure. Um,
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but I feel like um if I had to choose, I think these are safe red. I mean, Trump won each of them by like 8 or so, right? And
yeah.
I think with just DeSantis being more willing to more better to win over independents like DeWine in Ohio, and Iowa's consistently moving to the right, and just Harris is so unpopular in both states. I think these are both safe margins.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, again, there's DeSantis, with less baggage than Trump. Yeah,
Yeah,
I could see them going
yeah.
solid.
All right, and then there's some debates around.
Oh, maybe we go to Virginia next
Yeah, there's some debates
and New
around
Mexico too. Yeah.
Virginia and New Mexico. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, Virginia just had a Republican governor get elected in the state, which is pretty significant. But in 2020, Nova and Eastern Virginia all moved to the left, as they have been for the past decade. But obviously, Glenn Youngkin's been shifting the state to the right just a tad. I mean, those critical race theory bans might have made some liberals move out of the state. You never
Mhm.
know. And
I don't think Youngkin's going to get much done with the Democrats still having like the Senate of Virginia. So I don't know. Uh, I don't think I don't think he'll contribute to much of a shift in the state. I think he was like the only reason he won is because he took advantage of Biden being so unpopular, and he like he didn't really have any baggage like Trump. He was like he kind of showed himself to be a more moderate sort of Republican. He isn't like a Marjorie Taylor Greene, Glenn Youngkin. So
mhm.
I don't know. I think it can go red, but I don't think the conditions in 2024 would allow that.
Yeah, I'm more willing to put this into the likely Democrat column. I don't think it's going to be safe, mainly because, even though it's shifting to the left, Glenn Youngkin showed that a more moderate Republican could move it back to the right, at least a few points. I think DeSantis could do that with Kamala's unpopularity. And yeah, I just think I could see this going into likely.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
I don't know. I'm 50-50 on this one, but if you think it's likely, then we'll put it in
Yeah,
likely.
we'll just
Yeah.
put in likely.
Yeah.
Why not?
And then New Mexico, I think, is kind of in the same kind of area as
Yeah,
Virginia.
but Biden won this by 9, and also you can tell in New Mexico that they're also
We won by 11, I think.
or 11. Yeah, I just can't do math. I've just been seeing numbers in the wrong area. This is gonna be very embarrassing, but yeah, just New Mexico is also open to more moderate Republicans like Mark Ronchetti, and potentially could stay into the likely column. It's not really been shifting that much, and maybe the Hispanic shift in the south by the border
Yeah,
could move this into likely.
I don't know. This one is another like tough one, like Virginia. I think it can go either way, either likely or solid. I think in the end, though, it will go to Kamala Harris. Maybe we do put this as likely.
Yeah.
Because yeah, if it's like I think it's on par with Virginia, so Virginia is likely in this scenario. I think New Mexico would be as well. Hey, where do you want to go next?
I think we should take down the two states that sort of vote in line with each other, Texas and Florida.
Texas and
And
Florida, two states shifting in opposite directions.
Yeah, right. I mean, Texas has been shifting left, but the southern part obviously, has been shifting right with the Hispanics, and Dallas and Austin have been shifting to the left in large numbers with the liberals moving in from California, obviously. And I don't know. I feel like this probably stays in the likely column, but this could definitely move to lean. I just think, again, DeSantis is more appeal with independents, and that probably just barely squeaks him over.
Yeah, I think the trends in Texas, obviously there is the Hispanic trend in the South Texas, but like as we saw in 2020, the trends in the suburbs toward the Democrats overpowered that. So I think it'll kind of like just cancel out in 2024, and this will be about even, maybe a little more to the right than it was in 2020. But yeah, I think it will end by a likely margin, and DeSantis taking the state.
Yeah, and then obviously Florida is super interesting. I mean, usually we don't get to Florida this early in any predictions. But with DeSantis being from Florida, he has unique appeal among Floridians. He's obviously very popular in Florida. Surprisingly, he's obviously very divisive, but he's popular. And obviously Miami-Dade County has been moving right, and there's a lot of people in it. And Florida's been shifting right in general. It's not really had anywhere to counteract the shifts of the Hispanics and just the people that have been moving Republican. So, I mean, with Trump winning this state by 3 or so, I could see this one going to likely.
Yeah, I think the double kind of whammy of DeSantis being the governor of the state and being popular, plus the state moving to the right, I think that's enough to have it in the likely margin, and DeSantis just like kind of just eviscerating Harris there.
Yeah, I agree. All right, there we go. And then the rest of the places here are not so easy. I mean, we could go to Maine second. I think Maine second is probably just gonna stay in the safe column.
Yeah, I think that will go to DeSantis by a safe margin.
Yeah,
or likely. I mean that. Yeah,
it could be likely.
Chances are.
Chances are. Oh, I did not mean to do that, but we're going to remove that. And yeah, I think this is just going to be safe. Trump basically won it by a safe margin. I mean, he was towing the line, and Maine is not really known for being so radical. I think DeSantis has more moderate appeal. There we go.
Yeah, I think overall, I mean, since we're on Maine, might as well do it now.
Sure.
I think Maine overall will probably lean toward Harris. I mean, it went to Biden by 9 points. But I still think with appeal toward moderates and Harris being as popular as she is, it'll probably fall back to around where it was in 2016 and kind of like lean slightly toward Democrats, but not.
I think it'll go to the lean margin.
Yeah. What do you think?
All right. Yeah. I mean, this is probably going to happen. I'm not really too sure. In 2016, Maine was a lot closer, and I think I agree with that. I'm not exactly sure. I'm also not sure on the exact margin of Maine second. I think the result is going to be there in both, but you never know. I mean, with these things. So there we go. And then we have Minnesota, which is probably the last of the non-super swing states here on the map.
Oh yeah.
And Minnesota was won by Biden by 7, and Minnesota is just impossible to crack for the Republicans. So I'm thinking of putting this in the lean Democrat column, but
Yeah, I think Minnesota will probably go to Kamala Harris by like slightly. Yeah, I think it'll be a lean margin for her.
yeah, there we go. Then the rest of the states are really close. I maybe we just start with New Hampshire.
Yeah, New Hampshire has been pretty consistently voting for Democrats on like presidential for president for Senate as of recent.
Yeah.
I think Harris will probably take this by a lean margin over DeSantis. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just look at these counties here, shifting left. You can't see a right shifting county in this full screenshot, which is pretty fascinating, by the way. But um, other than that, you see Biden winning by around 7. I hope I did the math right there. What by
I think
around
that's right.
7. And I don't know if this probably goes into the lean Democrat column, right? But it's not going near DeSantis, I don't think. All right.
Okay.
We'll be putting that one into lean column. And then we have the how do you want to call this? The Super 7. I don't know how you want to call this. The 7 states that
decided all.
That decided all. Florida used to be there in the Elite 8, but now it's the Super 7. So there we go. Do you want to just take out Nebraska second before we head to the Super 7?
Oh yeah, let's do that. I think Omaha has been moving to the left, so I think this tiny district in Nebraska will vote for Harris actually by a lean margin. I think she'll be able to take that. Biden won it by like 7, so I think she'll do slightly worse, but I think she'll still take it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Biden was able to flip the second district. You can't really see it in New York Times, but he did flip the second district. Maybe you can see it here. Yeah, you can. Biden won it by 6.6, and it's probably just going to fall back into the lean column just slightly because of Harris. She's just not as electable. There we go. The Super 7 is here. You can decide where to start.
Let's do North Carolina.
Okay, North Carolina. Now this one has always been a tease for the Democrats, and Trump held on to it even though he lost the election, obviously. And I think DeSantis is bound to do better in this performance. But I'm not totally convinced that he could get this one into the likely column, especially because we have Governor Cooper here on the ticket. I'm gonna say that this one stays in the lean column.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, North Carolina's kind of always been in that region where it like slightly goes to the Republicans every time. So I think in this race it'll just kind of do that again. DeSantis will probably do slightly better than Trump's. What was it? A 2 point margin. But I do not think he'll get it above 5.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's going to be a lean margin. And we can head to
maybe we should we should do the Sun Belt first, and then
we'll
loop back to the blue wall. Is that what they call it?
Blue wall.
That's what they call it when Biden won, or like I don't know. It's
yeah, not
election
sure.
phrasings. The Midwest. We'll do the Sun Belt first. Yeah.
Georgia's very interesting. It's been shifting to the left. Hardcore in Atlanta. I mean, everywhere else is pretty standard, but Atlanta has been going absolutely crazy to the left. And I'm not sure if DeSantis can save this. He obviously is from a neighboring state, which maybe gives him a little bit of appeal in Georgia. But with Georgia shifting that fast to the left, I don't know if he can do it. Maybe barely hangs on by a tilt margin, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think Georgia could be it's definitely going to be a swing state for 2024, no matter who the nominees are. I'm not sure though, because DeSantis does have appeal to moderates, but then there is this like like people coming to the left in Atlanta. I don't know. I think DeSantis might barely hold on just because how unpopular Harris is. I could see this like tilt red. Maybe even lean. I think it'll go to DeSantis, but by a little, but I don't know how
I
little.
think tilt's gonna be the better characterization here. Harris obviously also has the African American appeal in Georgia, and I think that's just better for her. But she's probably gonna barely lose it. It's gonna be the last stand for the Republicans in Georgia. After DeSantis, no one's winning the state for the
Hmm.
Republicans for 25 years. So there we go. And then we go to Arizona, which has also been shifting to the left since
Yeah,
you can't even really see it. Just Maricopa County here, it looks small, but it's a big shift to the left, which is really significant. Maricopa County decides the whole state basically,
essentially, yeah.
and there's a lot of moderate Republicans in Arizona, which I think DeSantis appeals to. He also appeals to the Kerry Lake Blake Masters base. So I think
Hmm.
he has both appeals, and he's going to be able to flip back Arizona and end the left leaning trend. And I think he'll probably win by a lead margin. I don't think it's going to be super duper close like Georgia, just because of the moderate Republicans that live there.
I mean, Arizona's also been going left. You have people from Cali moving there to Phoenix, from burning in wildfires to burning in like 100-degree heat, and same thing essentially. They're at home, but I don't know. Uh, yeah, I do sort of agree with you. I think DeSantis may be able to overcome this blue shift. There's a lot of moderate voters in that Phoenix area that I think DeSantis will. I think they'd rather vote for DeSantis than Kamala Harris. Um, yeah, I think this could be lean R. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Then Nevada, which is her final Sun Belt state. And Nevada's always, it always looks like it's going to go Democrat. It's not really that close. This cycle in the midterms, the seat's going to be very close. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but you have this tiny Clark County shift that could determine the course of the state. And I think this is going to be similar to Arizona. I think it's going to be lean R, but just it's going to be close as well here. And there's going to be a lot of fighting over the state.
Yeah, historically, Nevada's been like the reverse North Carolina and been like teasing Republicans and like, oh, we might vote for you, and then they vote for the Democrat. Um, yeah, I don't know. With that Clark County shift in a year like 2020, where Biden essentially, shifted a lot of other states toward the left, like Nevada didn't really move as a whole in 2020. In a year where Democrats did better in most states compared to 2016. I don't know. I think that spells bad news for Harris, especially with like the Hispanic shifts in the Republican Party. I think this one could go lean Republican, tilt Republican. I'm between those two. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
All right. I'm personally gonna think that Nevada and Arizona are about gonna vote the same, like maybe just 1 or 2 points, 1.5 for DeSantis, right? It's
yeah.
not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be razor thin, but very close anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can move to the
Through the Rust
Rust
Belt.
Belt, the Midwest, the whatever you want to call it, the blue wall. But in this case, I think it's going to turn to a red wall,
Yeah, I would agree.
a firewall here, you might say, instead of a water wall. We can just start and go left to right. In Wisconsin, Wisconsin's very interesting, just because of how close it's been in every election, right? And the rural counties keep shifting to the right because of Trump, but the suburbs are shifting to the left as Trump loses the white women, etc. And so I think Wisconsin's going to be better for DeSantis. He's going to be able to stop some of that drainage here in the suburbs, but he's going to continue to perform fairly well with the rural counties. So I think this is going to be lean Republican. I don't think it's going to head into likely though.
Yeah, I usually see Wisconsin as moving toward the right, uh, and I think Biden was lucky to bring it back slightly for 2020 to win that. But I don't really see any Democrats, at least in the presidential level. State politics is different. Bringing that back anytime soon. So I think it is lean Republican. Yeah.
There we go. And then Michigan. Michigan's very, very interesting. Mainly because of how much it shifted, right? I mean, Trump won the state in 2016, but Biden won it by 3, which is a lot. I mean, it's Michigan. And it
Yeah,
was a
that's a
very close
decent shift.
election.
Yeah.
That's a very decent shift. It's not really that clear. I mean, Michigan's very, very different in a lot of the state. Obviously, you have Detroit and those other cities like Grand Rapids, but there's also a sizable rural population, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, obviously, has a lot of population. It has 15 electoral votes, which is quite a lot. And I'm not sure how much this is gonna shift to the right in this election. I mean, obviously, DeSantis is probably a better candidate than Trump, and Harris is a worse candidate than Biden. But is it really going to go into the lean column? Probably. Not sure if it's a tilt state. What do you think?
I think I'd actually put this as tilt Republican. I can see a Harris campaign putting lots of emphasis on like Michigan and like campaigning there a lot. I think it'll go back to about how Trump did in 2016. I mean, like I don't. I think DeSantis will shift to the right, but I don't think he'll shift it like so far to the right where it would be lean and definitely not likely. I think he should take it in the end, but I think this one would be a tilt because this one is for sure going to be closer than Wisconsin.
For sure. And then Pennsylvania, I think it's just on the same. It's just the same story as Wisconsin. It's practically the same margin as Wisconsin in 2016, and then practically, the same margin in 2020. And they have very similar populations. It
Well,
depends. Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know. I would argue that I think Pennsylvania is slightly to the left of like Wisconsin, with like big cities like Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and also that 1.2% that Biden won. Like Pennsylvania is a bigger state than Wisconsin, so that is more votes, and the voters are what matter, not like really the percentages. So I don't know. I think that one could be closer. I mean, I still think DeSantis would win by a lean margin, but yeah. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, I think if anything, obviously Pennsylvania is to the left of Wisconsin, and Wisconsin's shifting faster to the right. But I still think they're pretty similar states. Just, I mean, they both have, obviously Pennsylvania is bigger, but you can also say the same thing about, California, and then you can look at DC, and they're pretty similar in terms of political, outlining, somewhat anyway. So there we go. I think this is a pretty decent map for this election.
Yeah,
It
that's
might
it.
not. I mean, it's probably the second most likely scenario compared to Trump versus Biden. Obviously, you could have situations like DeSantis versus Biden and Trump versus Harris, etc. But we wanted to put two
Yeah.
new candidates on this map because it's more interesting that way.
Yeah, this is a pretty convincing DeSantis win here.
Yeah. Does he basically does what Trump did in 2016? I mean, he snatches Nevada as well, but
And the
there we
margins
go.
are a bit different, but
And
yeah.
the margins are a little different, but there we go. DeSantis versus Harris, the final map here: 312 for DeSantis and 226 for Harris. So
Of Florida, U.S.
Florida rules the US. So thanks for watching, everyone. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications.
Yeah, and make sure to share.
Share this video. All right, thanks for watching.
See ya.